Hey, so welcome to CIT12 Summer 15, Fresno City College, online 100% with me, Rio Waller. I am a full-time faculty here at Fresno City, and this summer we are running the normal 18-week course of CIT12 Computer Literacy online for 6 weeks. So what this means is that all the work that a student would do in an 18-week regular semester, you're going to do in 6 and get this class taken care of, which is great news. What this means, though, is that you and I need to remain very focused on the task at hand. So what I'm going to do in this first video is welcome you into the course. You will have gotten an email from me that I'll go over. I'll talk about getting into Blackboard and just give you the basics for what you're going to need to get started. Okay? So let's go ahead and turn to the screen, and I'll minimize. So the first thing I'd like to say to you is that which browser you use is important. Most people are using Windows, frankly, these days, although some could be using Macs. I use a Mac as well. But I'm going to assume at this point most of you are on Windows. And some of you are using Internet Explorer, which is a browser from Microsoft. I recommend getting my Google Chrome. Okay, so you can just go to any web browser and type Google Chrome and download that. Now, the reason I say this is that Google Chrome is a browser that makes your experience of being on the internet better and more secure. And for some of the stuff that you're going to need for this class, it will just be a better browser for you to use. Okay, so that's kind of step one. If you don't already have it, you can use Firefox. If you're somebody that likes Firefox, that's a perfectly fine browser, but I would either use Google Chrome or Firefox. Safari, which is available, of course, on the Windows platform and on the Mac platform, is a browser that's fine, but it would be my third choice, and of course my last choice would be Internet Explorer. But I'm trying to give you what I think you will need. So in the email I sent you, so let me just bring that up. In the email that I sent you, I talked about that this class is going to start on Monday the 22nd. Now, you will have received this message a week before the start of the semester, so hopefully you're ready to go, okay? And the course is ready for you to go. So we're going to walk you through how to get into the course, and then I'll come back and talk about these things. But to get into Blackboard, you can either do it by clicking here and using this as a bookmark or however you want to save your important sites. I've already done it. The other way you can do is go to Fresno City College, and there's links to Blackboard from there. So I've already logged in. The one thing, I went ahead and logged in because it's if you're new to this system, you do need to understand what your passwords are, okay? So they've changed the initial passwords for Blackboard, and you can see it here. And this is also listed on the Fresno City site if you need it, okay? But it is important that you get into Blackboard. That's the important first step, is getting into Blackboard. And then at this point, you can scroll through to find our course. Now, I'm teaching 2 sections this summer, so you will either find 38, 355, or 356. Doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click into the course. So in our course, you will notice one of the first things is that I run the course organized by the calendar. Now, the calendar is important because it shows you when things are due. So when you're looking at this calendar, you can see Monday we have an item, which is basically who's in the house, which is a discussion where you just introduce yourself, okay, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit or in the next video. And then we have week 1 classwork here. So you can see we have 1 item due here, 1 item due here, 2 items due here, 1 here, and 2 here. So it's kind of the way things go, is you either have minimum of 1, sometimes 2 items due per day. Okay, per day, nothing on the weekend, but per day. And if I scroll through, this is June, and of course our class ends at the end of July. So sometimes towards the latter part of the class, you'll actually see sometimes 3 items due. So what this means, let me just bring you back and talk to you about this. What this means is that you need to stay very, very focused on this class. If I will grade, here's my plan, is that I will grade once a day. Okay, so whatever has been submitted, I will grade it once a day. My plan, my hope is that I do it in the morning, but if for some reason something happens, I will at least have it done by the evening, okay? So that's important for you to understand, is that if you don't complete something, I will put a 0 in the grade book, and that you will see a 0. Now I will talk about as we get into classwork in here, and actually that will be in the first video series for getting into the class, or actually getting more information about it. You'll hear more about these concepts of what happens if you miss work. I do give opportunities to do late work, so there are consequences of points removed. So really what you want to do is this: you want to stay on track, you want to work ahead of the due date whenever possible. And here's why this is important. Well, first, something could happen, right? Summertime, anything could happen really in life, anything could happen, and you may be out for a couple of days. So if you're working ahead, that gives you a cushion, and you know your schedule, you know what you need to do. So working ahead, saying, oh, I know I'm going to be off that Friday, so if I work ahead, I will have my work done. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, because I grade daily, no matter what work is submitted, if there is something that you missed on an item, then you can actually make that item up, redo it by the due date, and again, it allows you to submit it again, so that's great. Okay, so let's, now that I've kind of set the tone for that, so I'm holding you and I both responsible for getting this work done. Okay, so coming back to the course, I've looked here, the syllabus. One thing the students always want to start out with is the idea of the textbooks. Okay, so there are two things that you need for this class: a textbook and a website for Microsoft Office simulation. We call it My IT Lab. Now there's two ways to get this. You can either get it from the bookstore, and I say this in here, you will get a hard copy of the textbook, okay, and you'll get a code for the website. So that's first way. Now the second way you can do this is actually you can buy it directly from the publisher. Now here's, and you can see this, that there's a price difference. If you want a hard copy, it's going to cost you more, but some people like that book, so that's fine. $111.75. I actually just recently made sure that this was indeed the price. Now if you get it directly from them, okay, it'll cost you $75. But, and let me bring you back, here's what's important to understand, is that when you buy it from My IT Lab, you don't get a physical book, you get an ebook. Okay, so an ebook is an electronic book, it's only available on the computer. Okay, so the nice thing about that is, A, we don't kill trees, okay, B, cost you less, and it will be together with the website that you need for our class. So if you get it there, less money, but you don't get a hard copy. So again, understand that there's two ways to get this. So the next thing students often ask me, so let's just say that that's the thing, and I will walk through in your week 1 classwork how to get it. And here is the link in our course, and you'll have to access My IT Lab through Blackboard. Okay, this is actually a change, and I will talk more about this a bit later, but I am doing some changes for this semester in the way that I'm running some of my stuff in Blackboard or in the course, and My IT Lab is now integrated into my Blackboard course. It used to be separate. Now let me bring you back again. Why this is important is that you're going to hear me talk, you're going to hear some lectures that I did this past semester. And so when you hear me say stuff, well, you have to post your My IT Lab scores in the Blackboard, you, in the summer, don't have to do that, because I have integrated it so that when you do your My IT Lab, the scores will come into Blackboard. It may be a lag. There may be, like, because I have to manually run an update, and I'll do that like once a day. But in general, it'll be much better for you because you won't have to do that process. But again, I'll talk about that in a little while. Okay, so the other question students often ask me is when, right? When do I need the textbook? Well, what's important here is that you can look at the items, and I actually have to remember too. Week 3 classwork, I think actually you're not going to need it until the start of, oh, there it is, okay? So the start of week 2 is when you're going to need for the Word Chapter 1 simulation exam, okay? So that item, so whenever you see Word and Excel, right? So what happens here is when you click on items, it'll say go to that discussion board. So let me just click on this because I actually haven't seen this. So when it doesn't have a link here in the calendar, the only time it would not have a link to go to the item So let me actually make this actually clear. So in this case, the first item, if I click go to, it actually will take me to the item that you need to do, okay? But on the calendar, and again, I'm going to go back here to calendar, when you click on an item, so in this case, when we go to the 29th, which is our first, I'm pretty sure here, my IT lab, it will not give you a link. So you're going to know in your head, oh, that's on my IT lab item. You come over here, and that's where you'll have more information as we get into week 1 about how to set this up. Okay? All right. So let me go back to my thing here. This is the message that you got. So we got into Blackboard, we got into our course. So let me talk about these 2 items, and then we'll finish this video for the welcome. Okay, welcome to class. So your attendance, let me go back to the course. So attendance is something that you do on a weekly basis, and right now it's not available. And I actually say in the email here that it will be available on Monday, the 20th, and I don't say it here, but it's the 22nd at 8 a.m. So at 8 a.m., okay, so going back here, at 8 a.m. in the morning, this will be available for you to show your attendance. Okay, so you need to do that, and all you have to do is hit reply. There'll be a date, and it'll say 6/23, okay, and all you have to do is hit reply, and only 1 reply is required to show your attendance. You don't even have to say anything, okay? So that first attendance, okay, so normally you have, and you will still have in this case, to do all the way to Friday to just show attendance, but you only have to show it once, okay? Now, for this first week, showing your attendance before Tuesday is part of what you need to stay in the course, okay? So it's the action required. So say to yourself, normally during the week, I have to show my attendance before Friday, but for the first week, because it's so important, because this class is honestly packed out, we have full enrollment for both sections, and there are students waiting to get in. So I need to know if you're serious and ready to go. And the way that I know this is if I see you have done your attendance before Tuesday at noon and started on your week 1 and week 2 classwork, or day 1 and day 2 work. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, the day 1 work, really easy. All you have to do is write about yourself. That's who's in the house. The day 2 work is the classwork. Now, classwork for week 1 is so important because it's going to teach you how this class works at a deeper level than I've done here. Okay, so to get started, you need to stay in the class, right? Get into Blackboard, get into our course, show your attendance, complete day 1 and day 2 work, right? So if you do that, you'll be good to go, right? And so, and and I say this here, let me just bring you back to say goodbye in this first video, is that this really is your video to welcome you into the course, to say, let's have a great time, reach out for help when you need it. I'll be talking about in the week 1 classwork how you get help, things that I'm going to do to make myself more available in forms of chat. You will see this later. So, I will do my part to help. You have to do your part, which means you have to stay on task. You need to get help when you need it, have a backup plan, and that's really important. A backup plan means this, is that if for some reason your internet or your computer stop working, make sure you have a backup plan for somewhere to go to work, which, by the way, is another reason to work ahead, because if something happens, you can work ahead and get work done. Okay, anyway, enough for this one. This is your welcome video. I look forward to meeting you in person or just online, and let's have a great summer.